Today we're at the trial garden for the Proven Winners Color Choice Shrubs. Hi, I'm Heidi from Garden Crossings, and it's the beginning of June right now, and we are going to take a walk through this fantastic garden. I am going to say up front, this is a private garden, and it's not open to the public. So this is going to be your way to take a look inside and see all of these beautiful Proven Winner shrubs. So let's go ahead and let's take a walk through these gardens. Anybody that knows me knows that I just love clematis vines, and I love it because they add that vertical interest into the garden. Now this one is definitely a different and unique clematis. Not one that you're going to think of this flower form when you are thinking of clematis. This one here is the Clematis FUNYELLA, and it is a gorgeous yellow spidery looking bloom. I love them. It's hardy in zones 4 to 9, and it can get 6 to 10 foot tall and 2 to 3 foot wide. So clematis are one of those plants that do well if you climb them on an arbor or a trellis. Here they just kind of made a simple kind of a trellisy thing using chicken wire and some poles, which is working really excellent here. This is a spring and summer bloomer. It's a re-blooming clematis, and it's just absolutely stunning to welcome these beautiful yellow blooms late in the spring and then throughout the summer. For you shade lovers, or maybe you don't love the shade, but that's what you're dealing with, here we have a fantastic new azalea. This is the Azalea Sweet Reward Pink, and I'm actually surprised it's still blooming here mid-June, but it's really holding onto its flowers quite nicely. I really have been impressed with the color of this Sweet Reward series. The Sweet Reward azaleas, they are hardy in zones 5 to 8. So this is kind of nice for us here in Michigan, because up till now, a lot of the azaleas that have been introduced are actually just a zone 6 hardiness. So 5 to 8 makes this just a little bit more hardy for our area here in West Michigan. It gets 3 to 6 foot tall and 3 to 6 foot wide. This is a native shrub variety, a native azalea. And I really love how azaleas really brighten up kind of the deeper, darker areas in the garden. If you're looking for a long blooming viburnum, check out Steady Eddie. Steady Eddie has these gorgeous white blooms that appear usually around the end of May, beginning of June here in West Michigan. Steady Eddie is hardy in zones 5 to 8 and gets about 4 to 5 foot tall and wide. So these are pretty mature plants. So once it starts blooming, it continues to put on blooms throughout the summer. It's a deer-resistant shrub, and the pollinators love these open flowers. So if you're looking for re-blooming viburnums that really, these are pretty prolific bloomers. These are covered with flowers, lots of color. The Steady Eddie viburnum is a great choice to add in for your landscapes. This fantastic shrub that is just full of so much color. This here is a barberry called Neo. Neo is a gorgeous crimson or almost a deep orangey color shrub that just is fantastic color, especially in full sun gardens. It's hardy in zones 4 to 8, and it gets only about 2.5 foot tall and 2.5 foot wide. These are very mature specimens that we're seeing here. And one thing I'll show you is when the plant isn't getting as much sun, you'll notice how it's green kind of on the inside. So that's because the sun isn't actually hitting that foliage as much to really bring out those rich, bright colors. Barberry do have some small thorns on them, so it is a deer-resistant plant. So if you're looking for great foliage color in something that's deer-resistant, the Barberry Sunjoy Neo is just a fantastic selection. Do you have a dead tree in your garden, or maybe just a fence you're looking to fill up? Check out this gorgeous false hydrangea. This is a Schizophragma Flirty Girl, and it can get 40 to 50 foot tall, and it's hardy in zones 5 to 9. Beautiful white petals, nice open florets, and that's where the pollinators like to hang out. This is a great plant for pollinators in your garden. Whenever you have these type of hydrangeas that are more open in the center, this is where you're going to find the pollinators hanging out. And these beautiful little petals, flower petals, they're just so bright and so cheery on this plant. So this tree actually isn't even a dead tree at all, but this vine has just totally taken the tree over and has covered up the trunk so that you're seeing just all these gorgeous, beautiful white blooms right now. I love how it's kind of a windy day today, and the petals are just really kind of rustling in the breeze. So it's another one of those plants that you can add into the garden that just adds a lot of motion. The perfect pairing of foliage and flowers. This here is a Spiraea called Glow Girl. She's got gorgeous chartreuse foliage, which is a nice bright color. I love how it really makes a contrast in the garden, especially against all of the deeper, darker greens that you may see. In early summer, it just bursts with color with these beautiful white blooms. This is an early summer blooming Spiraea. So great foliage, great flowers. Hardy in zones 3 to 9. At maturity, this plant gets 3 to 4 foot tall and 3 to 4 foot wide. Spiraea are a great plant not only for pollinators like the butterflies, the bumblebees, and even the hummingbirds. It's also a wonderful deer-resistant shrub as well. Spiraea are also considered native, so if you are looking to kind of up your native flower game or shrub game, Spiraea Glow Girl is a great addition to landscapes or out in the gardens for its fantastic color of flowers and foliage. Can you imagine where you could put Glow Girl in your landscape? The Lonicera or honeysuckle Kintzley's Ghost is such a fun plant to have in the garden. If you're looking for a vine to add some vertical height, this is so fun. I love just looking at this plant. There's so many different facets of it that are cool. It's almost in full prime blooming flower right now. And I love how on the very end of each of these vines, it's kind of like a disc. And then inside the discs, you're seeing the flowers there. As it's just blowing in the breeze, it's so pretty to watch. Right now I'm watching some bumblebees checking out all of the little flowers on this plant. Kintzley's Ghost is hardy in zones 4 to 8. It can get 6 to 12 foot tall. So depending on how tall of a structure you give it to grow will kind of depend on how tall it will get. It can spread up to 5 foot wide. So if you've got it going on a fence, make sure, to know that it could take up to at least 5 foot of your fence space. This is a native shrub that's deer resistant. And as we just mentioned, it attracts the pollinators as well. The bumblebees love it. Even when these flowers are done flowering and just those tiny discs remain, it adds so much cool interest, even in the late summer and in the fall, even going into the winter. This is truly, I would say, an all-season shrub that is just really unique, different, and kind of a whimsy fun addition to the garden. If there is a plant that is going to stop you in the track, it is this Calycanthus, simply sensational. It is so fragrant right now. I'm standing here and as it's blowing in the breeze, I'm getting hints of like melon or strawberry or I guess juicy fruit gum, if you're familiar with that. That's kind of the smell I'm getting right now. Gorgeous blooms and absolutely the most fragrant Calycanthus I have ever in my life smelled. It is just loaded with all of these beautiful burgundy blooms. Simply Sensational is hardy in zones 4 to 9 and gets 4 to 5 foot wide and about 6 or so foot tall. The plant we're seeing here is a mature size. It's a native variety of shrub and it's also deer resistant. But the thing, if I had to point out one thing about this plant, it is the smell of these flowers. It is so yummy smelling that I could just stand here and enjoy this plant all day long. This would be one of those plants that I would put in the landscape, kind of like you would maybe use a lilac, a place where if you have your house windows open and you just want to enjoy the scents coming from the outdoors, this would be one of those shrubs where you just want all of this gorgeous fragrance to blow inside and just really give you this wonderful feeling of summer. Calycanthus Simply Sensational truly is a simply sensational smelling shrub. Diervilla, also known as bush honeysuckle, is one of the most versatile shrubs that you can use in a landscape. It can be planted in full sun to full shade, and it has fantastic foliage. This here is the Diervilla Kodiak spiced, and it shows beautiful coppery tips, which is the new growth on it. And then the leaves that are further in the plant are more of a light green color. So 2 tones going on, and it's just absolutely stunning here in this full sun garden. I will mention the more sun a Diervilla gets, the more vibrant you're going to see with the various tones going on. Kodiak spiced is hardy in zones 3 to 8, and it can be grown in good soil, poor soil, just kind of whatever soil you're giving at it. I will say it is drought tolerant once it's established. So with any plant, you want to make sure that you're giving it plenty of water while it's getting acclimated and established. But once this plant is established, it does fine in just about any type area. It's deer resistant as well. So I think whenever we can check that deer box, that's a great box to check. Glossy jet black foliage. That is what Kodiak jet black Diervilla has here in this garden. I love the foliage of this plant. It is so striking. It totally stands out amongst all of the greens and the reds and the blue different foliages you're seeing here in this garden today. It's got a nice tidy habit. It only gets about 3 to 4 foot tall and wide and creates just this beautiful mound of color. It's hardy in zones 3 to 8, deer resistant, and a native plant variety. So if you're looking to plant something in maybe a tougher area in the garden, Diervilla would be a perfect choice for that. The more sun it gets, the more deeper, the darker the foliage it is. But even if you do have it in a part shade area or a shadier area, it's still a fantastic addition to the garden. One of the fastest selling barberries in our garden center this year was the barberry Sunjoy orange pillar. And I think when you look at these plants here in the garden, it's pretty self-explanatory why this would be such a popular plant. I love the columnar habit of it. The gorgeous orange foliage is striking as well. Orange pillar is hardy in zones 4 to 8 and can get 3 to 4 foot tall and 1 to 3 foot wide. Right now, these are pretty mature specimens. I'd say they're about 3.5 foot tall or so, and they're making really a very fun looking border in this full sun garden. Barberries do have small little thorns on them, so they are deer resistant because the deer don't like to obviously eat anything that has thorns on them. And also too, this is a great plant if you like to plant something like underneath your windows that kind of helps deter robbers. A lot of times people will use barberry in such places as those. You'll notice here on the orange pillar how the tops or the tips of the foliage is more orange, and as you go further down it's a little bit more green. And the reason is because the more sun that's touching the plant, the more orange the foliage it will have. So on the innards of the plant where the sun isn't getting in there as much, it's more of that beautiful chartreuse. An arborvitae that's getting a lot of attention is this arborvitae sting, and the reason why is because it has such a cool, unique habit to it. So these here have been in the trial garden, I'm guessing we're going on 3, maybe 4 years or so, and they're about 5 foot tall at this point. They only get 1.5 foot wide at maturity, but they can get up to 20 foot tall. So if you're looking for kind of a fun, whimsy looking plant to add into your garden, the sting is really a cool plant. It's a native variety. Now it is not deer resistant. Most arborvitaes are not deer resistant. So if you have deer in your garden, this is something I'd probably stay away from. But I love how they add such a unique interest into the garden. They're a very, in my opinion, kind of an artsy feel, just because they don't take up a lot of space, but they just have such a fun and unique habit. The arborvitae sting is definitely one that people are talking about and are adding into their garden. Montana moss is a cool, low-growing evergreen, perfect for foundation plantings. If you're looking for a plant that has just kind of a fern-like foliage, glossy, greenish, blue tones to it, this is a fun little deer-resistant plant. Montana moss can get 3 to 4 foot tall and 3 to 5 foot wide at maturity and is hardy in zones 4 to 9. This is what I like to call a poor man's Japanese maple. This is actually an elderberry, or also known as a Sambucus, called black lace. I love its deep, dark black foliage and its heavily serrated petals. So this plant has a very classic, airy feel to it. The one we're looking at here today is a newer plant, or one that has been trimmed back, because black lace, when it's mature, can get 6 to 10 foot tall and wide. It has a very fun, airy habit. It's deer resistant, and it does get some beautiful whitish pink flowers on it a little bit later on in the summer. Great for full sun to part shade locations. The more sun it gets, the deeper, richer the blacks it will have. So it's just a nice plant if you're looking to fill in an area, because it does get fairly decent in size, but it's not going to have that heavy feel like a lot of other shrubs do because of its nice, skinny, and narrow foliage on it. The roses are starting to bloom here in early June, and here we have the RINGO All-Star Rose. I love the coloration of this RINGO All-Star Rose with its deep magenta eye, and then it fades out to various colors of pinks and peaches and oranges, depending on where the flower is in its stage of bloom. RINGO All-Star is hardy in zones 4 to 8 and gets 2 to 3 foot tall and 2 to 3 foot wide. It's one of those roses that just continues to bloom throughout the summer. Really very little deadheading is needed. Although personally, I like to kind of come through after the roses are finished flowering and kind of deadheading them up just to kind of keep a nice clean appearance to the plant. A little bit of flowers are starting here, but there's a lot of buds just waiting to start blooming. This is a very fun addition, and this actually was one of the proven winner roses of the year. So you know that it's a great plant to add to your collection. Ringo double pink rose is another one of the earlier blooming roses here in the garden. Hardy in zones 4 to 8. These beautiful light pink blooms have a deep magenta center. They're semi-double, so it's more than just one little row of flowers. You're getting multiple petals on them, nice and fragrant, and just really kind of a unique looking rose because of its bicolor, the bicolor look going on it. So if you're looking to add something different and unique, these Ringo double pink roses are gorgeous. Here's an entirely different take on a butterfly bush. This here is the Buddleia Mop Top, which has gorgeous lavender blooms on it. I love the narrow, the very fine looking foliage. It adds a different texture than what you typically think a butterfly bush would add to the garden. It's beginning to mid-June right now, and these flowers are just starting to emerge. Beautiful lilac lavender blooms that have flowers that just kind of go up and down the stems. You can see how they're kind of a nice drapey type habit. This is hardy in zones 4 to 8 and gets 3 to 5 foot tall and wide. So what we're looking at right here in the garden is a pretty mature specimen. It's great for those early summer pollinators. It's deer resistant. And if you're just looking to add, a different unique look to the garden with butterfly bush, Mop Top will do just that. Gorgeous late spring blooming shrub. This is the Deutzia YUKI KABUKI. I am in love with this plant right now. There is just so many flowers. This plant is absolutely covered in flowers. I love the bicolored flowers of YUKI KABUKI. They're pink and white striped. And as we look at them here, you can just see the dimension that those two tones of colors give to the plant. YUKI KABUKI is hardy in zones 5 to 8 and gets 2.5 to 4 foot tall. So this plant here is fairly mature. YUKI KABUKI is a great plant for borders, for foundations. If you're looking to plant something around the house, this is a great plant that will add that early season color into the landscape. Enjoy the early summer blooms of the ILLUMINATI Tower Mock Orange. This plant is smelling fantastic right now. As I'm walking through the garden, I'm just getting gorgeous scent surrounding me. This plant is loaded all the way up and down the stems with these beautiful white flowers. Another thing I'm noticing on here is there's been a lot of pollinators, so it's really creating a buzz to the wildlife as well. This is hardy in zones 4 to 8 and gets 5 to 6 foot tall and 3 to 4 foot wide. It's deer resistant, so that's a nice thing if you're looking to add some flowering shrubs to the garden that are deer resistant, and they're the perfect size for creating a hedge or a border. Another thing, you could plant these outside your front door and just really enjoy the scent as it comes in with the windows open. The ILLUMINATI Tower Mock Orange. One question I get asked all the time is, what are great shrubs for shade? And here we have the taxus. This is the dark druid taxus, and you can see these have been kind of nicely shaped up. Taxus can be grown in full sun to full shade locations. So if it's a sunny area you're looking to plant something in, or if it's a shady area, this is a very versatile shrub. It's hardy in zones 4 to 7 and gets 3 to 4 foot tall and about 3 foot wide. It's got nice deep green foliage, a tight rounding habit, and it's very useful as a low mounded hedge. And if it's something, even if you're used to, having boxwood or something in your garden, it could be a good alternative as well for boxwood. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions or comments on any of the shrubs we looked at today in this garden, you can leave them down in the comments below, or you can head to our website, gardencrossings.com, where you'll be able to get all the information you want on any of these shrubs we talked about. If you're new to our channel, we welcome you to subscribe. Thanks for watching. I'm Heidi from Garden Crossings.